equipment, if that's okay with everyone. So I'm going to talk a little bit through the gear that we're going to need. We're going to be out backpacking. We're going to be out there for 7 days, essentially, and you can't head to Red Mire or something while you're out there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pass out a sheet, if everyone could take one and then pass it around. This is some gear information. Oh, I'm going to grab one of those. I need one for me too.
No, you got it.
Yep.
You need to...
I think we got it back here.
Okay.
Yeah, we can start going forward.
Awesome. So I know everyone got a gear list with your pre-trip information. Did everyone get that sheet originally?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I just made up another one, a little bit more comprehensive, just going through each and every kind of detail, just because I know when I'm packing for backpacking trips, it's really helpful for me personally to really have a couple of lists to go through and just make sure I have everything I need. So we're going to start at the top. We're talking about mandatory personal gear needed for this trip. Number 1, common sense. That is something that is never on gear lists, and to me it's the most important thing you can bring with you on a trip is just, while you're preparing for this trip and doing a little bit of mental preparation, just thinking through things, using common sense, just mentally preparing yourself and thinking through just generally smart ways to do things. And if anyone has any questions as I'm going through, just shout it out, raise a hand, anything like that. So number 2 on the list, you need your internal frame backpacking pack. And here's my pack, and it needs to be big. I have a 62-liter pack. The packs that the outdoor program has to check out, if people don't have their own packs, we have a lot of packs. We have some really nice new ones and stuff as well. But you need a pack that is at least 60 liters, generally ranging in the range from like 60 to 80 liters. So I know if you're like a lightweight backpacker, it's like, oh my gosh, how could I ever take that much stuff? But you need a lot of stuff. Just, it's a big trip. We're going to be taking a lot of stuff. We need a lot of food, all those pieces. So a big pack is going to benefit you. And just to fit all the stuff in, you need a big pack. If you have your own personal pack and it's like a 45-liter, renting one of ours would be preferable, just because you will have a lot of stuff. And ideally, when you're backpacking, you want to be able to fit everything in your pack instead of tying a bunch of stuff to the outside. Everyone's seen that backpacker with like a million bungee cords and things. And that's just not ideal. That's called gypsying, and that's the way stuff gets lost. So we really want everyone to have nice big packs that everything can fit in.
How much does it cost to rent the stuff?
Oh, that is a great point. Everything, all the rental stuff, totally included in the cost of the trip. Yeah, you guys did all pay a lot of money for this trip, and we're all really excited that you did and all of that. And part of the fee you paid includes all the equipment. So any personal equipment you need is totally rentable from the outdoor program. On your sheet, any of the items that has 2 asterisks by it is something that you can rent from the outdoor program.
And how soon should we go about getting that? Should we just wait till?
We're going to go into some more detail about that soon. So if you can hold off on that question, we'll talk more about renting gear when we break into our individual groups. So number 3 on the list is a sleeping bag. Most people have their own sleeping bags, but you do need a sleeping bag that is at least 20 degrees. Out there on the coast, we're going to be encountering, I've been checking the weather and some of the weather histories, and we're going to be getting temperature at night in the 30s and during the day in the 50s to 60s. So hopefully we'll get a lot of sunshine. It'll be great weather. But people should have a 20-degree bag. Me, I know for myself I get really cold, so I'm taking my 0-degree bag. But from the outdoor program, you can rent 0-degree bags or 20-degree bags. We just are asking that participants at least have a 20-degree bag so you can be comfortable. Next, number 4 on the list is you need a sleeping pad. And sleeping pads, there are 2 major kinds. And sorry if this is repetitive if you backpack a lot and this is a lot of redundant information. But if you don't, it's always good information to have. There are two major kinds of sleeping pads. You have your closed cell foam, which essentially means it's foam that is not having the air in it, basically. And then you have your thermarest, which is like a blow-up pad. Essentially, sleeping pads are not necessarily so much made for keeping you comfortable, but they're made for keeping you warmer and keeping you elevated off the ground. The ground is really cold. As in terms of comfort, people do tend to say that thermarests are more comfortable for sleeping on. I tend to prefer the closed cell foam because I find there are a lot of things you can do with them. What I like to do in the evening when I'm cooking, I bring this guy out with me and I sit on it. You know, you can extend it really far and you can have like 4 or 5 people, you know, all sitting on it, enjoying having some place to sit while they're cooking instead of just sitting on the ground. So I think that that is nice to do, and it's much easier to do with this guy than with your blow-up mattress, because the blow-up mattress, it's easier to puncture and get little holes in it, and then it leaks, and then you're on the ground all night, and it doesn't do anything to insulate you. If you do choose to bring one of these guys, you need to bring something to repair it in case a hole does happen. I know people sometimes repair them just with duct tape. It's preferable if you have some kind of like a patch kit that comes with your thermarest. Number 5, we need a good headlamp. So flashlights are really not preferable. We prefer that everyone has a headlamp. If you don't own your own, ODP does rent them, no worries. Headlamps are really good for helping you see where you're going at night. They're much more convenient than always being stuck holding a flashlight. So having a headlamp is really, really helpful. And the other thing with that is bring extra batteries. I know this headlamp personally, it has a 30-hour battery life, so I always bring 1 extra set as just in case. Having extra batteries is always really, really important. There's no drugstore out there. You know, we're out on the trail, all you have with you is what you're carrying. So bringing things like extra batteries is really important. Number 6 on the list is gaiters. So some people love gaiters and some people have never even heard of them. What gaiters are essentially is these are not hiking boots, obviously, but with your hiking boot you can put that over your boot and then it cinches kind of, not necessarily tightly, but it cinches on against your legs so it keeps things like sand out of your boots. On this trail, we're going to be hiking right along the coastline. We're going to be spending a lot of time in the sand. If you're getting a lot of sand in your boots, that can lead to a lot of problems as far as getting sand in your socks leads to blisters and just a lot of discomfort. So having things like gaiters is really nice in the fact that it really just keeps your boots cleaner and it keeps you more comfortable. The ODP also has gaiters available. Number 7, we have trekking poles. Now, people either love or hate trekking poles. For me personally, I don't use them when I go day hiking, but I really like them on backpacking trips. The packs we're going to be carrying will be heavy. By the nature, we have all of our personal gear, and we're going to be carrying food and tents and stoves and cooking equipment and all those pieces. The things like this tent and stoves, those will be shared amongst the group. So you're not carrying a whole tent by yourself and all those things. You're sharing that with your tent mates. But either way, our packs will be heavy. There's a lot of gear we need, a lot of food, water, all those things. So I find that having the trekking poles helps me personally in balancing out the weight a little bit. As far as like instead of just on my feet, I have something kind of to lean on a little bit. It's a personal choice whether you want to use trekking poles or not, but I personally highly recommend them. If you do have questions, you can more specifically talk to me or your trip leaders after the meeting. And they can tell you a little bit more about kind of the pros and cons of that decision. And it's your guys' choice whether you want to use poles or not. Number 8, 2 1-liter non-breakable water bottles, like Nalgene's. So Nalgene's are my favorite. As you can tell, this one is well loved. Nalgene's are a really great option for water bottles. Everyone needs to have the ability to carry at least 2 liters of water with them while on the trip. I really like bottles that have a really wide mouth. It's much easier when we're filtering water to pour into them, all those kind of pieces. If some people have the water bottles with mouths kind of like this, it's harder to pour into them and all those kind of things. Another thing that I always like to do with my water bottle is I surround it in duct tape. Duct tape is pretty amazing in the backcountry. You can use it for almost anything. And having it on your water bottle is just a convenient, easy way to have access to it.